So I think Osama Alsheref, Dr. Osama, you wanted to ask a question? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Hazem. Appreciate it. Hello, everybody. I have a couple of questions to the panelists, and I'd leave it up to them to choose which question to answer. My list of questions, 4 questions, that stem from the fact that I am a fan of virtual learning. And these days, it's becoming, it is showing its importance in communicating and reaching people. However, there are challenges, as you have explained, and appreciate that. So here's my first question. What is the e-learning platform that you have experienced and you found to be more effective in sending the message clear to the learners? That's question number 1. Do you want me to ask them all together, or you want to answer as we go along?
I have a question of clarification first, Osama. Do you mean for a classroom like we're using right now, where everybody is online at the same time, or one where they're not on at the same time? Can you give a little more specifics on that?
No,
and I ask that because I've used about 50 different platforms, and they're all a little different. Okay. Now,
here it is where everybody is present, and just like we have here in Zoom, everybody is present, and the number of learners varies from a small group of 10 people to 50 or 60 people. So, you know, which platforms do we use? And out of your experience, Michael, you being the experts on learning technology, once Adobe Connect, Go to Training, I'm not here advertising those two, but these are been popping up all the time when we talk about platforms for e-learning. I don't know, what's your intake on this?
I'm going to jump in. I've used a number of them, and
can you hear me still? I'm going to switch to, there you go. You have to look at your criteria for decision. This is, I'm sorry, going to get into some business talk. You have to look at questions of, you know, what are your criteria for decision, and treat it like a vendor search. Your criteria for decision, I've already asked you one question, which is everybody on at the same time? And you have to ask yourself other features that you want. Screen sharing, screen search, breakout rooms, things like that. Then your other criteria will be price. Your other criteria will be how many people in the room. You've kind of another criteria will be your questions like bandwidth requirements. So you have to get those clear, and those help you make the decision. That said, the 3 that I've used the most are Zoom, which we're using right now. I've used Adobe Connect and its earlier versions a lot. And I've used ones that used to be called Illuminate, and now has been purchased by, somebody write it in the chat because I forgot who they were purchased by, but they're now, I think Amanda's writing it. Blackboard, I believe they were purchased by Blackboard, thank you. Now, the price points on these are wildly different. And if that's your criteria for decision, you're gonna go the direction of probably Zoom. Now that said, Zoom has some things that are good for training. For example, it does allow you to do some breakout rooms. It allows you to go to a large number of people if you buy. It allows you to screen share. It allows you to do slides. It allows you to do chat and some simple surveys like you have there. Now, you said Connect. Connect is very good. And one of the things it allows you to do is it allows you to script interactions, so that if you want to do a training 10 times or 100 times, you just load that training and you push a button when the next step wants to come in. You don't have to rebuild your training every time you run it. which is very nice and convenient, but the price tag will be higher. And you have to decide, is that marginal benefit okay for the price tag? You can do it with any three of those, to tell the truth. The one that's most specifically built for training, I would say the Blackboard and the Adobe are more specifically built for training, but the Zoom is the cheaper, easier. The last thing, criteria that I think is very important, first of all, is that you need to check whether your users need to have a download to access your room or to access the recordings. And one of the reasons I think Zoom has been so successful is that literally you click a button and it works. And I've worked with a lot of ones where you click a button and they're like, oh, download this, open this, run this. And every time you have one of those experiences, your chance for something going wrong increases, and it does go wrong. And two, any step along the way is a threat to lose a learner. They'll just, get bored, tired, or distracted, and you'll just lose them. And so I think there's a real advantage that isn't acknowledged of just being able to click and enter. Now, that said, sorry to go on, we don't do a lot of online synchronous training with John and I. We do a lot of asynchronous, and that's because we work, asynchronous means people are they're in the same location on your platform, but at different times. So I could come in, right now it's 7 in the morning where I am, and it's 6 at night where you are. So, we can come in and we don't have to worry about time zones. That's a complete different answer than the one I just gave you. That's specifically for getting everybody in the same place at the same time. I don't know whether anybody else would like to add or correct me.
Well, one thought, Mike, and I see a lot of organizations trying to find, again, it's magic. They want the perfect e-learning platform or solution that's going to solve every problem. And it doesn't exist. And I think getting something simple that works, especially where the learners work. I mean, and it's really easy to assume that everybody's got really amazing broadband connectivity and whatever. And then your learners are in a refugee camp in northern Nigeria. And maybe not. So I think it's getting something, rather than spending all of the time and the resources trying to find the magical, perfect solution, get something that works and is simple. And I think Mike's point on simplicity of use is essential. And spend the time designing the learning and putting the resources into that, rather than procurement, interviewing 20 different vendors, etc., etc.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
John, I really want to emphasize this. Virtual learning is more about your design than your technology. And I think people, as they get started, get so focused on technology that they waste a lot of time and energy. Start slow, start small, use simple tools, but first say, what are the designs that address the questions that Hazem has been asking? How do I make this good learning? Not how do I make it technologically, flawless.
I mean, Mike, you may remember when we started doing virtual learning on project management, maybe in 2013, something like that. We had no money, and we couldn't be bothered to spend lots of time. So we used Ning, which was a social hub, which was very cheap. And then we used Dropbox to store documents. And we used Blackboard Collaborate because we had a license for webinars. And we had a series of videos that were uploaded, to it. And was it a beautiful solution? No. Did it work? Yes. And it allowed us to reach people that there's no way we could have reached them. I mean, and I remember one person coming in from, where was it? I think it was, He was in, I think he was in Goma in the Congo. And he'd been waited, no, he was in Kisangani, and he was saying he'd been waiting to learn something like this for years, but nobody was ever going to send trainers to where he was. And he had every problem under the sun because the connection, he always had to go to an internet cafe, like late at night. It was the only time he could log on to anything, but it worked. And, you know, I think just that's perfect advice. Start slow, to keep it simple, grow, test, find out what people like. And when you know what people like, you do more of it. When you find out what people don't like, stop doing it, unless there's a very good reason.